The white wedding dress hung like a ghost in my closet, mocking me on what should have been my wedding day. I hadn't touched it in 3 months, not since the morning I discovered both my inheritance and my fiancé had vanished without a trace. My name is Andrea, and I was supposed to be walking down the aisle today. Instead, I'm sitting alone in my Manhattan apartment, nursing a glass of wine and trying not to cry over my grandfather's empty bank accounts. My phone buzzed. Another sympathetic message from Amy, probably. But when I glanced at the screen, my blood ran cold. An unknown number had sent a photo, blurry but unmistakable. Justin, my ex-fiancé, standing on a beach in a cream linen suit. Next to him was a woman in a flowing white dress, her dark hair caught in the breeze. "No," I whispered, zooming in. My hands shook as I recognized the woman's profile. Annika, my cousin. The memories hit me like a tidal wave. 3 months ago, I'd walked into Gwendolyn's law office, ready to sign the final paperwork for my grandfather's inheritance. Instead, I found chaos. "Someone's cleared the accounts," Gwendolyn had said, her face ashen. "All of it. The signatures look legitimate. They're in your name." "That's impossible," I'd replied. "I haven't signed anything." But I had signed something. Dozens of things. Justin had been helping me with paperwork for weeks. "Just trust me, babe," he'd say with that charming smile. "I'll handle the boring stuff." I grabbed my phone, dialing Amy's number. She picked up on the first ring. "I found them," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "What? Andrea, slow down." "Justin and Annika. They're together. Getting married." "Your cousin Annika? The one who—" "Yes, that Annika." I forwarded her the photo. "Look at the champagne bottle in the background." Amy went quiet for a moment. "Villa Amare. That's in Tahiti." I walked to my window, staring at the Manhattan skyline as reality sank in. My fiancé hadn't just stolen my inheritance. He had run off with my cousin to throw a luxury wedding with my money. My phone buzzed again. Another photo. Justin and Annika kissing during what looked like a wedding rehearsal, the sunset painting them in golden light. The caption read, "2 days until forever." "Amy," I said, my voice hardening. "Remember when you said you had a contact at that private security firm?" "Reed." "Yeah, why?" "Call him. I need everything he can find on Villa Amare and any recent bookings." "Andrea." Amy's voice was cautious. "What are you planning?" I looked at my reflection in the window. 3 months ago, I'd been a trusting fool in love. Now I saw someone different, someone stronger, colder. "They think they've written the perfect ending to their love story," I said, deleting the photos one by one. "But they forgot something important." "What's that?" "I always was better at plotting than Justin." I opened my laptop, pulling up flight searches to Tahiti. "And unlike him, I know how to plan a wedding that people will never forget." "You're going there?" Amy asked, concern evident in her voice. "No," I replied, booking the first available flight. "I'm going to make sure their perfect day becomes their worst nightmare." The setting sun cast long shadows across my apartment. I walked to the closet and finally took down that white dress, stuffing it into a garbage bag. As I tied it shut, my phone buzzed one last time. A wedding vendor confirmation email, not for my cancelled wedding, but for Justin and Annika's. I smiled, remembering all those hours I'd spent planning my own perfect day. Now those skills would serve a different purpose. "Game on," I whispered, hitting confirm on my flight booking. In 48 hours, I'd be in Tahiti. And this time, I wasn't going to be the bride. I was going to be Karma. "Look at this," Amy said, spreading documents across my kitchen table. 6 shell companies, all registered within days of each other. And guess whose signature is on every single one? I leaned forward, studying the paperwork through bleary eyes. After 36 hours of digging through financial records, my vision was starting to blur. "Mine," I said flatly. Or rather, Justin's perfect forgery of mine. Amy pointed to a series of transactions. "The money moved through these companies like a game of hot potato, But the end destination? She tapped her screen. A private bank in Tahiti. How much? Nearly all of it. 4.2 million. The number hit me like a punch to the gut. My grandfather had spent his life building that wealth, and they'd stolen it in weeks. My phone buzzed. Reed, the private investigator Amy had connected me with, was calling. "Andrea, I've got something interesting," he said without preamble. "There's a luxury wedding conference happening at the Four Seasons in Tahiti next week. Guest list includes all the top planners in the South Pacific." I sat up straighter. "The same week as their wedding?" "Exactly. And get this, the conference is invite only." "But I might have a way to get you in." 20 minutes later, I was staring at a new email confirmation. Somehow, Reed had managed to register me as Andrea Mitchell, a rising wedding planner from New Zealand. "You're sure this will work?" I asked him. "Trust me," Reed replied. "These conferences are networking chaos. Nobody questions new faces." Amy was still scanning documents. "Wait," she said suddenly. "Andrea, look at this bank statement." She pointed to a recurring charge, weekly payments to something called Paradise Planning. "That's their wedding planner," I said. "Has to be." "Already on it," Reed said. I heard typing in the background. Paradise Planning, owned by someone named Shiloh Newton, local celebrity in Tahiti apparently, known for six-figure weddings. I grabbed my laptop, searching for images. Shiloh's website showed a stunning woman in her mid-30s, posed on various pristine beaches next to elaborate wedding setups. "Book me a consultation," I told Reed. "Whatever it takes." "Andrea," Amy said quietly, "are you sure about this? Going there, getting close to them." "They're using my grandfather's money to fund their fairy tale," I replied, my voice hard. "I'm going to turn it into their nightmare." The next morning, I walked into the Four Seasons Conference Centre wearing a borrowed Chanel suit and my most professional smile. My fake ID badge read, "Andrea Mitchell, Mitchell Wedding Design." The conference was exactly as Reed had described, a swarm of well-dressed professionals trading business cards and wedding horror stories. I moved through the crowd, listening for any mention of Paradise Planning or Shiloh. "Oh God, you haven't heard about the Villa Amore wedding," a voice said nearby. I turned to see two planners huddled over coffee. "Biggest budget this season," one continued. "Some rich couple from New York. The groom's apparently impossible to please." I stepped closer, pretending to check my phone. "Shiloh's handling it personally," the other replied. "Speaking of—" The crowd parted, and there she was, Shiloh Newton, even more striking in person, walking toward the coffee station. As she reached for a cup, I noticed her hands shaking slightly. "First time at the conference?" I asked, sliding next to her. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "No, but these things always make me nervous." "Shiloh?" "Andrea." We shook hands. "I heard you're handling the Villa Amore wedding. Justin Young's ceremony, right?" The change was instant. Her smile vanished, replaced by something darker. "You know Justin?" she asked carefully. "You could say that?" I met her gaze. "And I think we might have something in common." Shiloh glanced around, then lowered her voice. "Meet me at the beach bar in 20 minutes. We need to talk." As she walked away, my phone buzzed. Another email from Amy. Final proof that Justin and Annika had forged my signature on the transfer documents. Perfect timing. Because something told me Shiloh Newton was about to become my most valuable ally in making sure their perfect wedding turned into exactly the disaster they deserved. The beach bar was nearly empty when Shiloh arrived, her heels sinking into the sand as she made her way to my table. She carried 2 martinis, setting one in front of me with a knowing look. "So," she said, sitting down, "how do you really know Justin?" "He was my fiancé." I watched her reaction carefully, until he stole my inheritance and disappeared. Shiloh didn't look surprised. Instead, she took a long sip of her drink and laughed bitterly. "Let me guess. He convinced you to invest in something? Something that sounded too good to be true?" "You too. 2 years ago, a luxury resort development." She pulled out her phone, showing me renderings of a beautiful beachfront property. He convinced 12 investors to put in millions. The land didn't even exist. I leaned forward. And now you're planning his wedding? Ironic, isn't it? Shiloh's smile turned sharp. He has no idea who I am. I changed my hair, lost weight, even got a slight accent from living here. When his bride hired me, I almost said no, but then I thought, perfect opportunity, I finished. Exactly. She studied me for a moment. So what's your plan? I told her everything. The stolen money, Annika's betrayal, the evidence Amy and Reed had gathered. As I spoke, Shiloh's expression grew increasingly animated. I can help, she said when I finished. I'm handling every detail of their wedding. Every vendor, every schedule, every guest list. And you can change things? Better. She pulled out a tablet, opening a complex planning document. I can make sure everything goes wrong in exactly the right way. Look. For the next hour, we plotted. Shiloh showed me how to create the perfect cascade of disasters, each one small enough to seem like bad luck, but together. The cake delivery will be delayed, she explained, making notes. When it finally arrives, it'll be the wrong flavour. The flowers will trigger Annika's allergies, which she conveniently forgot to mention, and the guest list. She grinned. Let's just say some interesting people might show up. What about security? I asked. Already handled. I've hired a new team, friends who understand discretion. You'll have full access. My phone buzzed. An email from an address I hadn't seen in years. Annika. Speaking of interesting timing, I muttered, opening the message. Dear Andrea, I know it's been years, and you probably hate me, but I've been thinking about our family, about everything that happened. Can we talk? There's so much I need to explain. Love, Annika. Well, Shiloh said, reading over my shoulder. That's certainly bold. She doesn't know I know about the wedding, I replied. She's trying to cover her bases. Or set a trap. I forwarded the email to Reed, then turned back to Shiloh. How soon can you get me into the wedding party? Already done. She showed me her tablet again. You're now listed as an assistant to the makeup artist. Dark hair, glasses, local accent. No one will look twice. Perfect. I finished my martini. One more thing. I need access to their marriage license application. Shiloh's eyes lit up. Funny you should mention that. There might be some irregularities in those documents, especially regarding certain identification details. My phone buzzed again. Reed had sent surveillance photos of Justin and Annika arriving at a local restaurant. They looked happy, carefree, completely unaware. Look at them, Shiloh said softly, playing with other people's money, other people's lives. Not for long. I stood up, dropping some cash on the table. Send me everything you have on the wedding plans. Every detail. Andrea, Shiloh called as I turned to leave. Just remember, revenge is best served with a smile. I thought about Justin's charming grin as he'd helped me organise my inheritance, about Annika's fake concern in her email. Don't worry, I replied. I learned from the best. Walking back to my hotel, I drafted a quick reply to Annika. I'd love to talk. Some things shouldn't be left unsaid. Tell me when and where. Let them think they were still in control. In 1 week, their perfect wedding would become the scandal of the season, and I would be there to watch it all burn. The morning sun glinted off Villa Amare's infinity pool as I adjusted my dark wig and makeup artist's apron. From my position on the terrace, I had a perfect view of Justin and Annika having breakfast below, champagne glasses already in hand. Another toast, baby? Justin's voice carried up clearly, the same voice that had once promised me forever. To us, Annika giggled, clinking her glass against his, and to finally having everything we deserve. My earpiece crackled. The florist just arrived, Shiloh whispered. Ready? I touched my ear. Do it. Moments later, a delivery van pulled up. The driver, one of Shiloh's friends, started unloading dozens of arrangements, all featuring red lilies, the one flower Annika was severely allergic to. What are those? Annika's shriek echoed across the property. I specifically ordered white orchids. I watched her storm toward the flowers, Justin trailing behind. Right on cue, she started sneezing. "Get them out," she commanded between sneezes. "And where is Shiloh?" "Ms. Newton had an emergency," the driver said, apologetically. "But she left detailed instructions." While they argued, I slipped into the bridal suite. Everything was laid out for tomorrow's ceremony, including Annika's wedding dress. I carefully placed the modified seating chart in the wedding planner's binder, ensuring certain guests would be seated next to their worst enemies. My phone vibrated. Amy had sent new information. Found proof. Justin used same scam on 3 other women before you, sending details to local press. Perfect. The journalists would receive their anonymous tips just as the ceremony began. "Andrea?" Shiloh's voice came through my earpiece. "We have a problem. One of the makeup artists recognized you from an old photo in Justin's wallet." My heart stopped. "How long?" "Minutes, maybe. Get out of there." I was halfway to the door when it opened. A young woman in a staff uniform stood there, eyes wide with recognition. "I know you," she said slowly. "You're—" I cut her off, pressing a finger to my lips. "How much?" "What?" "To keep quiet. Name your price." She hesitated, then named a figure that would have shocked me 3 months ago. "Now," I just nodded. "Double that if you help me." 10 minutes later, I had another ally and more access to the wedding preparations. The makeup artist, Maria, had her own grudge against Annika, who'd apparently reduced 3 wedding planners to tears already. "The bride wants to review the ceremony schedule," Shiloh announced through my earpiece. "Everyone clear the area." I ducked into a storage closet just as Annika swept past, still sniffling from her flower encounter. Through the door slats, I watched her and Justin review tomorrow's timeline. "Everything has to be perfect," Annika insisted. "I've waited too long for this." "It will be," Justin assured her, kissing her temple. "No one can stop us now." If only they knew. While they planned their perfect day, Reed was coordinating with local authorities about the fraud evidence. Amy was tracking the money trail. And Shiloh. "Bad news about the catering." Shiloh approached them, tablet in hand. "The seafood delivery was contaminated. We'll have to switch to the backup menu." "What backup menu?" Annika snapped. "The one you approved last week." Shiloh's innocent confusion was masterful. "I have your signature right here." As they argued, I received another text, this one from Gwendolyn, my grandfather's lawyer. "Found the original land dispute documents. Your father tried to warn them about Justin 2 months ago. Annika knew exactly who he was when she helped him target you. The betrayal hit deeper than I expected. Even knowing what they'd done, some small part of me had hoped Annika had been manipulated too. But no, she'd helped destroy me with full knowledge. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. "I saw you. Leave now or we both go down. You're not the only one with secrets." I forwarded the threat to Reed for tracing, then touched my earpiece. "Shiloh." Time for phase 2. Tomorrow, their perfect wedding would become a masterclass in karma. And unlike them, I'd leave no evidence behind. Just ruins, regrets, and a very expensive lesson about underestimating the wrong woman. "Hey, beautiful, miss me?" I stared at the text message from an unknown number, my hands shaking. Justin's way of writing was unmistakable. "Got your number from an old email. We should talk." Another message popped up. "I know you're still in New York, but I've been thinking about you." I forwarded the messages to Reed immediately. "He's testing the waters," Reed replied. "Playing it safe in case you know something." "Perfect timing," Shiloh said through my earpiece. "The prenup just arrived at my office. Ready to make some adjustments?" I smiled, typing a response to Justin. "It's been a while. How's life?" While waiting for his reply, I met Shiloh at her office. She pulled out the prenup documents with a flourish. "Watch this," she said, opening a folder on her computer. "Annika's signature, from various wedding documents." She overlaid them with the prenup signature. "Notice anything?" "They're different," I said, leaning closer. "Because she signed these under duress," Shiloh explained. "I had my handwriting expert confirm it. One anonymous tip to the right authority. My phone buzzed again. Justin. Life's good. Getting married soon. Wish you could be here. The audacity, I muttered, showing Shiloh the message. Perfect, she said. Keep him talking while I handle this. Amy called as I was crafting my reply. Andrea, we've got everything. Bank records, forged documents, even emails between Justin and Annika planning the whole thing. Reed's contact at the local police is ready to move. Wait for my signal, I told her. Timing is everything. I turned back to Justin's messages. Congratulations. Tahiti must be beautiful this time of year. His response was immediate. How did you know about Tahiti? Lucky guess, I wrote back. All the best destination weddings are there. While Justin processed that, I helped Shiloh prepare the evidence of prenup coercion. We planted just enough hints of financial pressure and threats to raise serious questions. The media package is ready, Reed messaged. Every journalist in Tahiti will receive proof of Justin's fraud schemes 5 minutes into the ceremony. My phone rang. Annika's number. I let it go to voicemail. Getting nervous, cousin? I whispered to myself. Her voicemail came through. Andrea, please. I know you're ignoring me. There's so much you don't understand about what happened with the inheritance. Call me back. She's spiraling, Shiloh observed. The flowers made her face swell. The catering is in chaos, and now the marriage license office is reviewing their paperwork. A knock at the office door made us both jump. Maria, the makeup artist, slipped in. Justin's asking questions, she said breathlessly. He's been showing people your old photo, asking if anyone's seen you. Let him look, I replied. By this time tomorrow, he'll have bigger problems. My phone lit up with another text from Justin. You know something, don't you? We should meet. Clear the air? Sorry, I wrote back. Too busy. Maybe after your honeymoon? Shiloh's computer pinged. Final confirmation from the marriage license office, she announced. They've flagged irregularities in Annika's documentation. The ceremony can proceed, but the marriage won't be legally binding. They don't know that yet, right? They'll find out during the vows. Shiloh's smile was wicked. Right after the press releases hit. I was about to respond when an envelope slid under the office door. Inside was a single photo. Me, at the beach bar with Shiloh, planning everything. Back off, read the note, or we both go down. You're not the only one who kept receipts. Shiloh snatched the photo. Security cameras, she muttered. I'll find out who... Don't bother, I said, studying the handwriting. I know exactly who sent this. I pulled up Annika's contact and finally sent the reply she'd been waiting for. Let's talk. Tomorrow, right before your wedding. I'll be the one in black. Andrea, Shiloh warned, that's dangerous. No, I said, watching 3 dots appear as Annika typed her response. That's justice. Because tomorrow, while Annika walked down the aisle in her perfect dress, she'd have no idea she was walking straight into my trap. And Justin? He'd learn that some ghosts don't stay buried. They come back with evidence. The wedding day dawned with perfect irony, storm clouds gathering over paradise. I adjusted my makeup artist uniform in the mirror, while Shiloh's voice crackled through my earpiece. Cake delivery in 3, 2, 1. A crash echoed from the kitchen, followed by screaming. I peeked out to see the wedding cake, a 6-tier masterpiece, tilting dangerously on its stand. My cake! Annika's voice reached glass-shattering pitch. Someone do something! The top 3 tiers slid off in slow motion, landing with a spectacular splat. Annika's face turned an interesting shade of purple, clashing beautifully with her allergic reaction from yesterday's flowers. Where's Shiloh? She demanded. Car trouble, a staff member offered. But she sent a backup cake. The replacement arrived minutes later, chocolate instead of vanilla, with completely wrong decorations. My phone buzzed. Amy. Press is in position. Police standing by. I moved to the bridal suite, where Annika was having her makeup done. Her eyes met mine in the mirror, narrowing slightly. You look familiar, she said. I adjusted my glasses, speaking with the accent I'd practiced. I get that a lot, miss. Now, about your eyeshadow. The makeup session was interrupted by more chaos. The musician had accidentally been booked for the wrong day. Then the flower arrangement started wilting in the heat. "Everything's falling apart," Annika hissed into her phone. "Justin, where are you?" Through my earpiece, I heard Justin's location, arguing with the marriage license official who'd discovered problems with their paperwork. 10 minutes to ceremony, Shiloh announced. "Andrea, get ready." I finished Annika's makeup with shaking hands, not from nervousness, but anticipation. As she stood to put on her dress, I heard the first rumble of thunder. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no!" The sky opened up just as guests began arriving. Chaos erupted as staff scrambled to move everything indoors. In the confusion, I slipped away to change. "Press release sent," Amy confirmed. "Hitting news sites in 3 minutes." I positioned myself in the back of the hastily rearranged ceremony space, now dressed in a simple black dress. Justin stood at the altar, tugging at his collar nervously. The wedding march began. Annika appeared in the doorway, her dress already showing watermarks from the rain. She made it 3 steps before tripping on the hem. That's when all the phones in the room started buzzing. I watched as guests began looking at their screens, whispers spreading like wildfire. Justin's face went pale as he checked his own phone. "Local fraudster set to wed. Exclusive evidence of multi-million-dollar scam." The headline was just the beginning. Photos, bank statements, email screenshots, everything Amy and Reed had gathered, now public. Annika reached the altar just as police appeared at the back of the room. "Is there anyone here who objects to this union?" the officiant began. "I do," said a voice, but it wasn't mine. Shiloh stepped forward, tablet in hand. "This marriage license application contains fraudulent information, and I have proof of prenuptial agreement signed under duress." The room erupted. Justin made a move toward the side door, but security blocked his path. "What is this?" Annika demanded, her voice cracking. Then she saw me, really saw me, and her face crumbled. "Andrea?" I stood up slowly, removing my glasses. "Surprise, cousin." "Sorry I'm late to the wedding." "You don't understand," she started, but was interrupted by police approaching the altar. "Justin Young? Annika Townsend? We have some questions about certain financial transactions." Justin finally found his voice. "This is ridiculous. Who do you think you are?" I walked to the altar, stopping directly in front of him. "I'm the woman who taught you an expensive lesson about karma." The police moved in with handcuffs as camera flashes erupted. Not wedding photos now, but press capturing the moment it all fell apart. "The inheritance," Annika said quietly as they led her past me. "It was supposed to be mine. My father—" "Save it for your cellmate," I replied. Thunder crashed outside as they were escorted out. I caught Justin's eye one last time and smiled, raising my glass in a final toast. "Congratulations on the wedding," I called after them. "I hear prison chapels are lovely this time of year." The chaos that followed was almost beautiful. Guests fled the scene as police led Justin and Annika through the rain to waiting patrol cars. Journalists swarmed, cameras flashing like lightning in the storm. "You've ruined everything," Annika screamed over her shoulder at me. "This was supposed to be my day." "Like you ruined mine." I walked closer, rain soaking through my black dress. "The difference is, I have proof of everything." Justin remained silent, but his eyes burned with recognition as I approached. I leaned in close, my voice just loud enough for him to hear over the storm. "Remember when you said I was too trusting? Too naive?" I whispered. "Guess I learned from the best." A police officer gently pulled him away. "Ms. Townsend," she said to me, "we'll need your statement." "Of course." I handed her a USB drive. "Everything's here. Bank records, forged documents, email trails. My accountant and lawyer can verify it all." Shiloh appeared beside me, holding an umbrella. "The press wants statements. Ready?" Before I could answer, Justin twisted free of the officer's grip. He lunged toward me, face contorted with rage. "You think you're so clever?" he snarled. You have no idea what you've done. Your grandfather's money. It's gone. All of it. You'll never... Actually, Amy's voice cut through the chaos. She walked up, tablet in hand. We've already frozen the accounts. Every penny is traced and flagged for recovery. Justin's face went slack. Behind him, Annika started crying. Andrea, please, she begged. We're family. You don't understand. Your father cheated mine out of that inheritance years ago. I was just taking back what... Save it, I cut her off. I found the real documents. Dad tried to warn you about Justin months ago, but you ignored him. You chose this. A reporter shoved a microphone in my face. Ms. Townsend, can you comment on the allegations? No comment, Shiloh intervened smoothly, except to say that karma makes a beautiful wedding crasher. As the police cars pulled away, guests continued to flee the scene. Some stopped to stare at me, finally connecting the dots between the jilted ex-fiancé and the day's dramatic events. Well, Reed said, joining us under the umbrella, that's going to make one hell of a story. Speaking of stories, Amy added, you might want to see this. She showed me her phone. Social media was already exploding with headlines. Bride and groom arrested at own wedding. Multi-million-dollar fraud scheme exposed in dramatic ceremony. Jilted fiancé gets ultimate revenge. Your grandfather would be proud, Gwendolyn said, appearing beside us. He always said justice finds its way. I watched the police cars disappear into the rain. What happens now? Now, Gwendolyn replied. We start the legal process to recover your inheritance. With this evidence, it should be straightforward. And them? Financial fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. Reed counted off on his fingers. They'll be enjoying their honeymoon behind bars. The rain began to ease as the last guests departed. Hotel staff were already clearing away the ruined wedding decorations. Shiloh directed them with practiced efficiency, as if this were just another event gone wrong. One last thing, Amy said quietly, handing me an envelope. We found this in Justin's room. Inside was a photograph, me and Justin at my grandfather's funeral, his arm around me as I cried. On the back he'd written, "Easy Mark, too trusting, perfect." My hands shook as I tore the photo in half. Andrea. Shiloh touched my arm. The hotel bar is still open. I'd say we all deserve a drink. In a minute, I replied. There's something I need to do first. I walked to the altar, where Annika's bouquet lay abandoned in a puddle. Picking it up, I removed a single white rose, the only real flower in the artificial arrangement. For you, Grandpa, I whispered, placing it on the altar. The money was never what mattered. It was about making things right. Thunder rumbled one last time as I turned away, leaving behind the ruins of their perfect day and the ghosts of my own cancelled wedding. Justice, it turned out, made a far better companion than love built on lies. You're trending again? Amy said, sliding her phone across my Manhattan apartment's kitchen counter. Chen, Revenge Wedding Queen, is back on top. I glanced at the screen while pouring coffee. Another viral article about the Tahiti wedding takedown had surfaced, this time with new details from the ongoing trial. Did you see Justin's plea deal got rejected? Reed asked, joining us with a stack of legal documents. Judge wasn't impressed by his "I was manipulated by Annika" defense. Speaking of Annika, Amy pulled up an email. Her father finally reached out, wants to explain everything about the old family feud. I deleted the email without reading it. Some explanations come too late. My phone buzzed, Shiloh calling from Tahiti. I put her on speaker. You won't believe who just tried to book me for their wedding, she laughed. Justin's ex before you. Apparently, she saw the story and wanted to thank me personally for helping take him down. How many victims does that make now? I asked. 7 confirmed, Reed answered. All with similar stories. He's looking at 15 years minimum. The doorbell rang. Gwendolyn entered, carrying a familiar leather portfolio. My grandfather's. The final paperwork, she announced, spreading documents across my counter. Your inheritance is fully restored, with interest. And there's something else. She pulled out an envelope, yellowed with age. Your grandfather wrote this the day he changed his will. I was supposed to give it to you if anything ever happened to the inheritance. My hands shook as I opened it. Dearest Andrea, if you're reading this, someone has betrayed your trust. Probably someone close. That's how these things usually work. But remember, money can be replaced. Character cannot. Whatever happened, I trust you to handle it with grace and justice. Love, Grandpa. He knew, I whispered. He knew something like this might happen. He knew people, Gwendolyn corrected, and he knew you'd be strong enough to fight back. My phone chimed with a news alert. Tahiti wedding fraudsters face additional charges. The accompanying photo showed Justin and Annika in court, no longer looking like the glamorous couple from their rehearsal dinner. The villa's been sold, Shiloh added through the speaker. New owners want me to plan their daughter's wedding there. No fraud this time, I checked. Amy raised her coffee cup. To karma? To justice, Reed countered. To family, Gwendolyn added. I looked around at these people, my real family, the ones who'd helped me turn devastation into vindication. To truth, I said, raising my cup. And to my grandfather, who taught me that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with proof. Speaking of proof, Amy pulled out her laptop. Your story's gone beyond viral. 3 publishers want you to write a book. 2 Netflix producers called about rights. I shook my head. I don't need more attention. No, Gwendolyn agreed. But other victims of fraud need your story, need to know they can fight back. She had a point. Every day more messages arrive from people sharing similar stories of betrayal and theft. They called me brave. Called me inspiring. Fine, I said. But on one condition, all proceeds go to a fund for fraud victims. Help them fight back legally. Already drafted the paperwork, Gwendolyn smiled. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from an unknown number. A photo of Justin and Annika in their prison jumpsuits, with a simple caption, Karma's a better planner than Shiloh. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. You know what the best part is? I said, looking at my friends. They thought they were writing some perfect love story. Instead, they became a cautionary tale. And you? Amy asked. What's your story? I walked to my window, watching the sunset paint Manhattan in gold, the same colour as that Tahiti evenings when everything changed. My story? I smiled. It's not about love or revenge anymore. It's about justice. And justice, unlike their perfect wedding, has no expiration date. Behind me, my family raised their cups in a final toast. To truth. To karma. To the power of fighting back. And to the knowledge that sometimes the happiest ending isn't a wedding. It's justice.